also put out a tweet. Do you think that goes far enough, putting out a statement commemorating the life of Dr. Martin Luther King? And what would your message be to each of them in these final hours ahead of that critical vote tomorrow?
First of all, I would say that, it's kind of frustrating for people to be releasing statements and you really have not totally adhered to my father's ideals. My father not only gave his life, but he fought for the right to vote. And he and others gave their lives. And again, Senator Manchin says he supports a bill, but he won't move, or has not so far moved on a pathway to say that there's a pathway forward. So my hope and my message to him would be, Senator, you got to go further. You can't say I'm for something but don't have a pathway to it. And that's anybody who's talking about Dad today, because I'm sure many senators also on the Republican side who ought to be ashamed of themselves, who have shut down the process for voter expansion, voter protections. So that's the first thing I would say.
And I would ask them the same thing that I asked in my statements earlier. If, in fact, they want to celebrate the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., I would ask them to think about their own constituents, but I also would ask them to think about Dr. King's granddaughter, Yolanda, who was born in 2008. In 2013, as I said earlier, with the Voting Rights Act being dismantled, which was the cornerstone of her grandmother's legacy. And then last year with Georgia being one of the states that has regressive and suppressive legislation. And so I would ask them to think about tonight in these final hours, and I would imagine that they will say their nightly prayers, as many do, before they fall asleep tonight. And for them to really think about, as they typed in or thought about the words of Martin Luther King Jr., is this the dream that Martin Luther King Jr. had for his granddaughter and for her peers, for them in their 13 short years to have less voting rights than the day that they were born?
Because they have not communicated with each other. Let us all hope that the dark clouds of racial prejudice will soon pass away, and the deep fog of misunderstanding will be lifted from our fear-drenched communities, and in some not too distant tomorrow, the radiant stars of love and brotherhood will shine over our great nation with all their scintillating beauty. I refuse to accept the idea that man is mere flotsam and jetsam in the river of life, unable to influence the unfolding events which surround him. I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe that unearned truth and unconditional love will have the final word.
Everybody, please give Andre a round of applause. Of Dr. King's. And so next, I'm going to invite up a good friend, someone who has always been on the side of justice as long as I've known, and he likes to sing too. So I'm going to bring Brian Verdine up. Please give him a round of applause.
Yeah, Brian!
Come on over here, Andre. Come over here, David. Andre can sing, y'all know that, right? David can sing too. Anyway, it occurred to me, y'all okay? Everybody okay?
Yep.
All right. I know it's cold out here, but I see the sun trying to break loose. I just want to call your attention to the flag from New Mexico. It's the only state flag that we have out here, but it's the Zia flag. It belongs to the Zia people. And it's the 4 directions, north, south, east, west, and 4 stages of life, babyhood, childhood, adulthood, and then senior, being a senior citizen. And the most important to me is it's a strong body, strong mind, strong spirit, and number 4, the ability to help people, the ability to want to help people. That's the 4, the other thing that it stands for. And then the other flag I want to call your attention to is the Iroquois Nation, because it represents a coalition, and you should definitely take the time to look up this flag in particular, but the Keepers of the Fire in the Iroquois Nation, and how 6 different nations were able to come together, much like we need coalitions to come together here today in the United States, okay? So we need coalitions to help, make a better world. So it occurred to me to sing this one song, and then I'll probably try to say something a little bit later. You gonna help me with Woke Up This Morning? Yeah. Okay, then. Yeah. Back in the day. Woke up this morning with my mind. Y'all help me out. Stay on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 We go through Dr. King now. Woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on Dr. King. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on Dr. King. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on King. Hallelujah. 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 One more time. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 All right. Now everybody knows how important music has been to the movement throughout history. But I want to show y'all something. How many of you participated in these marches over the last year and a half for Black Lives Matter, for Jacob Blake? And, I see a lot of hands. So y'all know this one then. I'm just, for those of you that didn't know this, but when I first heard it, I'm like, okay, good. Some new songs are being born. We ready, we ready, we ready for change. We ready, we ready, we ready for change. All right, everybody, I'm turning over the mic right now. I got something to say a little later, though, okay? All right. Woo-hoo! Everybody, thank you. Thanks, Brian, and everybody who sung, and please give a round of applause. I can do better now. You can get more. Good. Woo! All right. So next, we want to mix it up and get some great moment energy in here. And we're going to bring up Senator Lena Taylor to talk why being engaged is important. Dr. King would have not been murdered by the powers that be at the time. He probably would have been our first black president. So Lena's going to talk about civics and life and love and why it's so important.
Well, first of all, thank you everybody for braving this weather. It shows that you understand the importance of this day, that we all woke up, like Brian said, with King on our mind. You know, a lot of people are going to use this day as a day to do nothing. But Dr. King wouldn't do that. Dr. King was about action. When we were down and they were naming 38 years later the rest of 3rd Street for King, a young woman from Rufus King gave some words, and I think the most impressive thing that she said was to speak about the need for us to not be silent, to speak up. Dr. King spoke up for workers. He spoke up against injustice. I think it was Pastor Lewis that got up here and spoke about the level of injustice for the tale of 2 cities that exist in Milwaukee. So what I want us to do today is go out and make sure that we do something, some action. In the name of Janetta Robinson, let's show some love in action today. In the name of Dr. King, show some love in action. It is cold outside and there is an amount of homelessness in this city. Show some love in action. And when this day is over, we still have to build a coalition to keep that going beyond King Day. There are real issues in our city. And it's only going to take love and action that's going to make a difference. So let us recognize King. Let us recognize the power of the right to vote. Let us recognize that our democracy is in my opinion, in jeopardy. It is in jeopardy. And so let us use our voice, let us use our feet, let us use our hands to move our community in the direction that we want to see it move, in the way that Dr. King would. Let his legacy, his dream, let it not be in vain. God bless you all. God bless you all.
I quickly want to shout out a local legend here, living legends. Y'all make sure y'all think of all the work that he and his friends and community did. The rest of you standing here right now. We have the great Fred Reed of the NAACP Commandos right here. Please wave, Fred. If you all are really interested in that history, a really good friend of mine, Adam Carr, has done a really great job of kind of reporting that. And one of the great things about what Fred Reed and the Commandos did is that Dr. King, before he was taken away from us, was going to use their model as an organizing model moving forward. So that's something really, really to be proud of for this city. That we had something as great as Dr. King, as interested in the well-being of our people as Dr. King, would come and join with the Commandos to take to the world. And so thank Fred. Y'all give him a big round of applause. Throw them hands up. All right, and I also want to, if anyone knows, I know everyone has masks on. I'm using it to warm my face right now. But if there are any other elders, in addition to Fred, that y'all think we need to shout out, let's do that. Anyone see anyone next to him that needs to be shouted out? George Martin. Give a round of applause again. Say it again. What'd you say, Fred? George Martin. George. Who else? I heard someone over there. Julie Enslow. Yeah. Brian Burbank. Woo! Who else? All right. So everyone who didn't get a shout out, let's just make sure that we show love to the elders who did what they had to do so we could be standing here together and not segregated and separated. And let's take that example forward. And so next, you all want to bring up...
I'm going to jump in here.
All right, then bring George in.
As an original Milwaukee Black Panther,
come on.
I say seize this time. Seize this time. And if you heard this before, then excuse me. But on this day, I got to say this. At 16, I was 10 feet away from Dr. King when he gave his I Have a Dream speech. The problem today is that too much of America is still dreaming. We take two steps forward, one step back.
Right.
For decades.
Yeah.
And we got to change that. We don't like what's on the news. Do you like what's on the news?
No.
But we got to change all that. And to change it, we all need to get connected. One little ant can't chop down that big oak tree. But thousands of us can chop down that big oak tree. And the values of Dr. King, I'm talking about nonviolence as a way to do things.
Right.
It may be slow, but I'll tell you, when you get down on that other end in terms of violence, it has not worked. So I ask all of you, in terms of whatever issue pulls your heartstrings. Well, if it's cancer, if it's climate, if it's racism, get connected.
Right.
Join a local organization. Join national organizations. So that you're not alone. We are not alone.
That's right.
There are zillions of us across the country. And at the same time, Congress is stuck on stupid. We have not seen anything move to benefit the people. So I ask you, I plead with you, get connected. Bring your power together so that we can chop down that big oak tree. Yeah. This is what democracy looks like.
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 Peace and love.
All right, y'all, give George a round of applause, please.
Woo!
I want to invite up Omar Flores from the Milwaukee Alliance against racist and political repression.
Long name.
And Omar Flores, you all. Come on over, Omar.
Woo!
Hello everyone, thank you for having me. I just want everyone to give it up for the King Coalition. Give it up for the King Coalition.
Woo!
I've been organizing since 2014, and the fact that they've been doing this event for longer than I've been organizing is extremely impressive. Anyone that's an organizer would know that. And so I'm just coming up here to say, and it's something that you're going to hear on the live stream tonight as well, is that, one of the ways, in many ways, that King inspires our organization and our work, and me personally, is number one, his consistency, right? He didn't just go out once and say things are changed. He knew that there was always a job that needed to be done. And another thing that I always really appreciated about Dr. King is that he always put the Black liberation movement first.
That's right.
And after doing that, what he did is that he put everyone else on his back, and he took us all along with him. And I see a lot of parallels from the 60s and 70s to today. Some good parallels, some bad parallels. And one of the good parallels that I see is that back in the 60s and 70s, we saw the Black liberation movement give rise to the Chicano movement. We
That's
saw
right.
it give right to the gay rights movement. We saw it give way to the anti-war movement. And we see that when the Black liberation movement is put forward first, when it's Black folks leading the charge, that all movements have something to gain from that.
That's right.
And so we see that today, right, with the George Floyd uprising. We see that, as the Black liberation movement gets going again, we start seeing a lot more around immigrant rights. We start to see a lot more around the trans movement. We start to see all movements coming to rise. And that's something that I think that we've emulated very well here in Milwaukee, is that, we form coalitions where we can. We put everyone in our back and we don't leave anyone behind, just as in the spirit of King. And so, again, I just want to say that it's an honor to be able to speak up here. I've come to this every year since I think like 2015, and I always just looked at the people up on this stage and just been so inspired by them. It's pretty surreal to be up here myself. Something else that I also want to give a really great importance to is that, you know, as we're all painfully aware, the work that we're doing is not done. Unfortunately, we're not living in King's Dream, and Milwaukee is a perfect example of that. You know, we have the south side completely segregated, the north side completely segregated, the east side completely segregated, and the suburbs being even worse. And so we see that example in many different walks of life. And so what I would like to give attention to is the case around Theodore Edgecombe. Can I see a show of hands of how many people have heard about Theodore Edgecombe? All right, so that's a good half. And so I just want to make sure everyone can take your time to learn about what happened to Theodore Edgecombe. He was pulled up on by a racist attacker that they tried to run him over with their car. And this is a black man that was on his way to a date with his daughter. You know, they were going to spend some quality time together. He was picking up food. They tried to run him off the road, and a man came out with a knife. Jason Clearman came out with a knife to attack him. Theodore Clearman defended himself, as he has a right to, and he's facing life in prison because of that. And so when we look at people like Kyle Rittenhouse, and him getting away with being able to supposedly defend himself, and then we see a black man, Theodore Edgecombe, facing life in prison and having his story buried under the rug here in Milwaukee, it's not right. And
it ain't right.
We have a lot of work to do here. And so there will be somebody handing out flyers to you for a vigil that we're going to be hosting outside of his first trial date on Tuesday at 6. We would also like to invite the media to be able to come out to that. We've worked very closely with the family. They need the support, and we need to make sure that people have a right to self-defense, especially black and brown people. Because essentially, if he gets charged, what that's telling us is that white folks could do whatever the hell they want. They could just go killing black and brown people and get away with it.
Yeah.
But, you know, if we try and defend ourselves, we'll go to jail for life for that. So it's going to be open season on us. So I just need to hear people to chant his name. Theo Edgecombe!
Theo Edgecombe!
Theo Edgecombe!
Theo Edgecombe! Justice for Theo! Justice for Theo!
Thank you, everyone.
Woo!
Dance back in the day, man, with Dr. King was around. I don't know. I'm sure they had something somewhere. All right. So, you all, I want to, before we get to our next speaker, I just also want to make sure that I invite you all to the main event tonight. And, you know, because of COVID and us making sure that we keep ourselves and our elders and our families safe, it's going to be virtual. But the Dr. King Coalition, this is the 21st annual event. It's usually at the great St. Francis Church over there. And hopefully, God willing, we'll be there again next year. But it's tonight at 7 on Zoom. And if you want to register, you can do one of two things. You can go to Julie. Where's Julie? Julie, raise your hand. Julie with the black coat here.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she can write your name down and send it in your email and send your registration. Or you can go to the Dr. King. Say the whole name. The Martin Luther King Justice Coalition.
That's right. You heard it first here.
Obviously, there's going to be lots of links. Make sure it's the Martin Luther King Justice Coalition Facebook page, and you can register the event right there. Last year, we had a really, really great event. I think we did pretty good last year, virtually. We'll do it this year, and hopefully have you all and your friends watching that. Maybe get the football and whatever else. Next, I want to, again, like I said, if you register for that, talk to Julie, or go to the Martin Luther King Justice Coalition Facebook page, and you can register for the virtual event at 7 p.m. tonight. All right, so next, we're going to bring up Brian Verdine, and we got a few more speakers, then we're going to let everybody get a chance.
I'm back. I too am a member of the Milwaukee Alliance Against Racism and Political Repression. I would encourage you all to join that organization, a very active freedom-fighting organization. I also want to thank us and congratulate us for all of the hard work we did to renamed Lindbergh Park after Lucille Berrien.
That's right.
One of our members that we honor every year. So great work to the Milwaukee Alliance, and keep on pushing. Dr. King talked about the three evils: war, racism, militarism, and materialism. I just want to say one thing about Sneaky Joe Biden. I call him Sneaky Joe because you better believe at this moment we're still giving weapons to Saudi Arabia so they can crush the people of Yemen. We still support Israel 100% that's committing genocide against the heroic people of Palestine. The military budget that just passed, I think Congress awarded them $40 billion more than they even asked for. We gotta keep an eye on Biden.
Freezing innocent.
You say so. Okay. On racism, we could stay here all day on that in Milwaukee. I know we're honoring Dr. King Drive going all the way down to Wisconsin Avenue, but as someone who lives up the street on Palmer, I want you to know it breaks my heart from North Avenue to Burleigh. If when you leave here, you just take a trip from North Avenue to Burleigh, it will break your heart to see all of the buildings in disarray, dilapidated, and don't think the gentrifiers ain't coming to move all the poor working folks out of this neighborhood still like they did Brewers Hill some 20 years ago. The gentrifiers are coming. So even though we're celebrating the fact that Dr. King Drive is all the way now down to Wisconsin Avenue like it should have been in the first place, but we got a lot to do from North Avenue to Burleigh and beyond to make sure that our community is repaired. And I'm talking about reparations, okay? In addition to the build back and all this other stuff. The last thing on the elections I want to talk about, you know, there's a primary coming up in February. Then there's a final election April 5th. By the way, April 4th is the anniversary of Dr. King's assassination. So I'm actually proposing that maybe we meet back here on April 4th for a Get Out the Vote rally. You still here, Reverend Lewis? All right. You support that, Andre? We meet back here on the assassination date of Dr. King, April 4th, for a big Get Out the Vote rally. Why do we need a big Get Out the Vote rally? Because we got to get rid of Ron Johnson. Ron Johnson's got to go. And let me be perfectly clear. If you're really talking about ridding yourself of racism in Wisconsin, the best way to do that is to vote for Mandela Barnes. Yes. Yeah, I said it. And it's amazing to me, sometimes I listen to talk radio, and while people will celebrate the meteoric rise of Obama, who became a state senator, went on to become senator, and when the 2 years he became president, how come they're not celebrating the meteoric rise of Mandela Barnes? There's a lot of hating going on in this town. And I say we need to put Mandela in office. Who better than a son of an auto worker and a son of a Milwaukee public school teacher, somebody most of us here already know, to put him in office, and it can be done. We got enough votes from Mitchell Street to Good Hope to make sure we can determine every statewide election in this state. We got that much power. Somebody said wake up, we better wake up.
That's right.
So that's about it. I had the point. Y'all get I'm clear about Ron Johnson, right? Right. He got to go. He got to go. Roll Joe has got to go.
Got to go.
Roll Joe has 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 got to go.
So meet me here. Better yet, meet me tomorrow night at the courthouse for Edgecombe, for Brother Theodore Edgecombe at 6 o'clock. There'll be a vigil. Meet me down there tomorrow night at 6. But better yet, meet me April 4th right here, okay? We'll meet about 4 o'clock right here. We'll get out the vote. There'll be more hype on that. And do go to the Martin Luther King Justice Coalition Facebook page and join us on the Zoom meeting tonight at 7 o'clock. Did you want to say something, Alon? You good? You good? You want to say something? I think we come. Oh, Aurelia, come on up, Aurelia. Yeah.
Woo!
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. My name is Aurelia Sehag, and I got my start in immigrant rights organizing in Milwaukee about 5 years ago. And as I got out of college and the 2020 protests were happening over the summer, I was looking for who was doing work, but who was doing good work that was going somewhere. There was a lot of demands for justice, which is great. But what does justice look like? What does that mean? A lot of demands to end police brutality. Great. How are we going to do it? So when I was looking for organizations, and I saw that the Milwaukee Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression had a plan for how to do these things. That we have CPAC, we have Civilian Police Accountability Council, we have community control. We don't just have a demand for justice, we have a plan for action behind it. That's what keeps us going forward. So if you want to join an organization that has a direction, that has a plan, that's part of the national alliance, fighting for justice, not just fighting for justice in words, but in action, through protest, through direct action, through calling all of our representatives when it's needed. We recently were able to get a significant amount taken out of the sheriff's overtime budget by being present, by having action, by calling up county supervisors. So if you want to join an organization that has a plan, join us tomorrow, Tuesday, 6 p.m. outside the courthouse in our vigil for Theo Edgecombe. Thank you very much, and justice for Theo!
Justice for Theo!
Honor Dr. King some more, and then we also going to let y'all go out. But I also want to give just a little bit of correction. Some of the audience told me, Brian, that the partisan primary for anyone who wants to vote in that is in August. The mayoral election is the one
Okay.
You can check out the Milwaukee Election Commission and get all the details. We got one more thing on the
So you probably going to hear in the news this week that the company White House didn't pass voting rights bill. They merged together the John R. Lewis Act, Voting Act, with the voting rights bill. And now it's been passed on to the Senate. Now it's facing a very, very difficult situation. All the senators let them know that if they don't stand for voting rights in this country, then they should get out of the way. Because even Ron Johnson, if he doesn't even believe in democracy, he has no business in that position. So please do what we can to push for this Voting Rights Act to pass in Washington. Thank you.
And the filibuster.
And the filibuster.
And the filibuster.
And so before we end and we sing the great song "We Shall Overcome," led by Mr. Brian Verdine again, I believe. And Andre, if you're around, you can sing it as well again too. I see him shaking his head. That's fine. It's fine, guys. We won't say too much. But we want to. If anyone has anything else they want to say, let me know. We won't be going too long. But also, you can always go to the Martin Luther King Justice Coalition page and put your thoughts about Dr. King and justice on there as well. And I'm sure we'll share it and make sure it's safe. So, last call for anyone who wants to say anything.
Just mention the unfreeze the assets. Tell Biden.
Come on up, Jim. You did the great Jim Carpenter, y'all.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that if Martin Luther King was here today, he would say to President Biden, you have to unfreeze the Afghan assets. People are starving in Afghanistan, and it's because we've stolen their assets, we've frozen their assets, who don't let them participate in the global economy. So please call your congressperson, your senator, tell them to tell Biden, unfreeze the Afghan assets so that people stop starving in Afghanistan. Thank you.
Woo!
That's what it's about, y'all. Making sure that we fight for justice everywhere. Ryan, what's the saying? Injustice anywhere is
Injustice to all.
that's right, justice everywhere. Ryan's usually good at that. But all that being the case, y'all, we can't stop fighting. We know that it's hard to do that when you are just a quote-unquote regular person. There's nothing regular about you. But that being the case, that's the tactics of the opposition to keep you from making your community succeed the way it needs to be. And so the only way to overcome that is community with a capital C. Let's make it happen. Let's do it. And I'm going to invite the great singer.
By the way, if you do go to our Zoom tonight, you'll hear someone, a really great singer, Dorothy James, singing tonight, and David, the great pianist David Dudley on the piano, accompanying her. So do join the Zoom tonight at 7 o'clock. And when I sing "We Shall Overcome," I don't never say someday anymore. I always say 2 days. So I know it's someday originally, but I always say 2 days because I think it's got to be more proactive. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome today. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall live in peace today. Dr. King's favorite verse is, "We are not afraid." We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome today. All right, everybody. Love you. Love you. Love you.
Woo!
Stay warm. Get warm. Get warm.
Dale baila lo apaya ho ai dale ban ai ta hon wale ba ele vai aurio pugalia mai dino ye ya hoi watino ye ta hon wae na hea dino ye ya hoi watino
Up in St. Paul. We also have, I'm trying to say this in a nice way. We can't hang out here too long unless you're going to get vaccinated. I'll just put it like that.
Okay, yeah, so.
St. Paul. It's West Side, you're right. WSCO, West Side Community Organization. Westco, yes. They have done an amazing job bringing to light what Rebecca Knocker, let me see, I'll make sure I'm doing this right. Rebecca Knocker, is that her name? Okay. Ward 2, City Council Representative, has some things in the works that could be detrimental for us in the movement, for those of us who stand out and protest. Basically, it removes the requirement to have a permit for a protest and changes it to an ordinance where we have to give the police 7 days notice in order to be out in the streets or on the sidewalk and standing on grass. Pretty much would make protesting illegal, and it gives the police extra rights. And exactly, that's that bullshit. So we want to make sure that we keep an eye on this. There are numbers on here. We want to make sure that you call the councilman or woman for your area. If you don't live in the area, call everybody. We want to make sure that this does not pass, because what recently happened, the city council passed an ordinance. It's a sound ordinance. So basically, I believe it is that anything you use to amplify your voice and you're having a gathering, you know, is not allowed. It's illegal now. And so we've had some police harass some people when they tried to be on the street. So if that passed, I'm concerned that this could pass as well. So you're getting this handout, read that. You can go to their website. Information is on the bottom where to find them on Facebook, Google the organization. They have done some great flyers and banners and information about this. So I really want, you know, every organization to be aware of this. And what is so important also, it gave me an opportunity to reach out to some wonderful comrades, Veterans for Peace. I've not been out with them in a while. An anti-war committee, just amazing. They're always out with us anyway. And Women Against Military Madness, is that your side back there? Thank you for come on up here. Show your banner, come on up here. Women Against Military Madness under Black Lives Matter Minnesota has done some work with them. So, yeah, so everyone. I'm just so proud of what we do here. I'm so thankful to see you out.
journalists that are here. Thank you so much. I don't know, maybe we have some commercial journalists out here. I don't know. Thank you if you're here. But it's just, this is what we do together, and I just love you so much. So we're going to start out with Sister Rose, a true ride or die. She's out here, you know, cold, rain, whatever. She keeps moving. She's a true inspiration and a legend amongst us. And we just appreciate and love you so much for coming out. Yes, can you come forward? Yes, yes. Let's give Sister Rose a hand.
Woo! Yeah, I'm so glad to see everybody out here today. And we got to stay out here, y'all. A brother on Sellers on CNN just said we got to be out of every 30 days.
Listen!
Not every 60 days they're talking about, every 30 days. In these political arenas and just in the streets, period. And all you young people out here, you got to run for these political offices. I know you don't want to, but make a year or two commitment. It's not that hard to do. You see these fools over here running stuff. We need you young folks to step in and get these old bastards out of the way. We can march all we want, but if you're not at the table, where the decisions are made, where the money is dished out, where the laws are made, all our marching is in vain. That's right. Now y'all know this voting rights thing is a big thing. Big, big thing. And white folks think that Trump is going to save them, but they're in worse shape than we are because we survived slavery. We're going to survive this. But there's a whole lot of white folks in the country that are going to go down. So you better tell your family and your friends. They better be real, study this thing, get out here, support this movement, because they will be in big trouble. They're making it a racial thing. It's more white folks on welfare than black and brown folks. It's more white folks on food stamps and Medicare than black and brown and native folks. So people are real confused. But you got to talk to your family and friends and get them to understand the seriousness of it. And you young folks, I can't stop saying this. You got to at least commit for a year or two to get over that Capitol building. It's not hard. We can train you. Most of the folks don't know what they're doing. So please, get your friends to think about it. We have to take over these state seats, the Senate, the Congress, the House, all of it, or we won't see any change. So I'm so glad you're here. Stay strong. Bring more people out. And know we got to stay out here because this is keeping it visible. But we got to make a change on the political level, locally and nationally. Our children are trying to go to school. How the hell can kids go to school with cobalt around them? You know? And we know that's about a population control, get them folks off the planet. We know that. Diseases are man-made. They're man-made. Be real clear about that. So do what you got to do if you don't want to get vaccinated. At least wear a mask. Just saw a baby on TV, 1 year old, is on a system, got COVID in the hospital. So protect your children, protect yourself, and everybody around you.
Thank you.
Give it up for Miss Rosemary. A lot of real truth out here. I have to say, you know, education has always been my focus. I've always been an educator. And so when I got doing a lot of protesting, I kept showing up at these school board meetings, and it was a bunch of old farts. Y'all heard me talk about this before, right? Just a couple weeks ago, we swore in a new group of people with us, and I am now the elder on my board. I'm still old, though. I'm 47. But the bottom line is everybody else is younger than me. And that's the direction that we need to be going in politics. We need people that are young and ready to get this work done in position. So I'm feeling like we're really accomplished. Also, Miss Rosemary talked about getting in that Capitol. I saw there was about 12 legislators retiring this year. Now, I know it's not the ones that are right here in our little metro area, but y'all got cousins and aunties and uncles and somebody out there in the rural world. Y'all need to start talking about that. Because it's not so much the seats that are occupied right here in the city. Our problem is the seats that are occupied in Rochester.
Yeah.
The seats that are occupied in New Elm, up there in Duluth, you know, those folks, they have a real different perspective on what justice is and who justice is for.
Yeah.
And so when they sit at the table as a legislator, they don't give a shit about us. And that's clear because every single thing that was burnt down during the unrest, nothing has been repaired. They have not rebuilt anything. They blocked it all through the whole Senate last year. The Senate continuously blocked every bill that came forward to rebuild the community. And they knew it wasn't us burning down our community. They knew who it was burning down our communities. They didn't care. And so we got to start replacing those individuals far out in the rural areas. We might be calling on y'all on an old Stokely Carmichael, get out and vote, walking through the cornfields, trying to round up people to get in this work. Because, see, right here, the awareness is here. I know it looks like the numbers are small, but let somebody get killed. Let one of our soldiers go down. We show up in thousands, right? We've seen that with George Floyd. We saw that with Dante Wright. We've seen that with Winston Smith. We in these Twin Cities know how to mobilize and get justice. Unfortunately, the money is coming from further than that. So if we really want to navigate some change, we got to start sitting at those Thanksgiving tables and having those conversations with people who live in the outskirts and ask them to take those seats. Help the young people out that are in the city. Start to be transformative in the work and the things that you're doing with your life. Everybody has a purpose. I'm going to say that again. Every person has a purpose. Dr. King was a great man, but every single one of y'all have a purpose. You must fulfill it if you really want to see true justice. Because see, God is love, and love is justice. And if you really want to fulfill that, you've got to find your purpose and get it done. All right, up next, all right, we can bring in our hot boy to the mic. No, Monique's got something to say. Hold on.
Also, we want to acknowledge all stolen lives today, right? But we also have our representative from Brian Quinones standing here, so we give a shout out to Brian Quinones and Ashley's Grant. I would think they're proud of it. So proud of it. They're proud of it, right? You're so young. So shout out to that. So happy that we have a caring, loving community that just shows up with signs. So now someone came with the sign for Sim Costa Rosa. Love that. That's what we do here. We don't block anyone from sharing the platform. That's what we want. We want to remember as many names as possible. We're Black Lives Matter, but here in Minnesota, we honor everybody, regardless of their color, right? Because of the stolen lives, and we want to remember that, right? So also, I want to give a shout out to Unlawful Assembly. They're just volunteers. They're volunteers here. Haven't been out there for a while. I feel like this is a little bit of a reunion here. So next, I'm going to turn the microphone back to Chantel because I have a picture of Mel that's in my car, and I want to make sure that we're bringing him into that space as a poster for High Belcourt as well. So you want to bring up...
All right, I'm back, y'all. I got more to say. So, I am on the St. Paul School Board. I know, right? So right now, unfortunately, there's been this push from the president to keep kids in school. We know what the numbers are. We know how it's spreading. But yet, our superintendent still didn't call distance learning in our city, no matter how much I pressured him. So tomorrow, at every single high school, our students are walking out at 1 o'clock. And so I want to call on you guys to support that if you can. Show up at whatever the closest high school is to your school. It's a student movement. I went to the last walkout at Highland, and when I say this brother, there's a brother named Jerome Treadwell. Y'all know him? You're going to get to know him. He's a high school student, but he can mobilize. I swear to God, I'm putting this on everything. I guarantee you Dr. Martin Luther King could not mobilize bodies to the streets at his age the way that he does. This is an upcoming organizer who is going to blow the city's roof off in about 5 years when he gets a college degree. But he's rocking it right now. And the last walkout I went to was about sexual conduct in the school and such. And when I say that every single student walked out the building, he was there navigating thousands of students outside. He had it organized with speakers and t-shirts, and media was there. This is a one-man organizing squad, man. So I'm asking you guys to show up and support however you can at Highland Park, at Central, Harding, Washington, Johnson, Owl, and even Murray Middle School had some youth that were on the list today when I was in the meeting with them. They are demanding that we go to a 2-week distance learning time period. They're also demanding that the schools provide N95 masks, which they haven't been even for the last 2 weeks, even though they know what the CDC has said. They're also demanding more innovative distance learning styles. That's a hard one. I'm definitely going to try to push and work it. They have quite a few demands, and they're very thorough, and they're really with it. So I just want to tell you guys how important it is to support the youth movement.
Right.
We talk a lot about Dr. King. Matter of fact, he got his whole day, right? Whole federal holiday. But in 1968, in St. Augustine, Florida, there was a group of youth who wanted to integrate the beaches. And so every day, for about 30 days straight, they went down to the beach where they were not supposed to be at, and the police whooped their ass. Excuse me, shorties, if you're in the spot, but it was more brutal than that word. Whooped them all the way back up the hill off the beach. They kept going back every single time until it red flagged Dr. King to show up. Now y'all know how adults are. We slide into a movement. We got a better angle. We're gonna go to the hotel. It's on the main strip. That's where we're gonna protest at. I'm gonna bring the media there, right? That's what Dr. King thought. I'll bring the media there, and we're not going to the beach. So they went to the hotel, but the young people, who are always 2 or 3 steps ahead of us, y'all must remember that as you stand out here. They are always 2 or 3 steps ahead of us. They went around back, and they jumped the fence, and they hopped into the swimming pool of this hotel in the 60s, where white folks were swimming. Well, the owner came out and started pouring acid all in the pool. Yep. Straight acid to burn these kids up out of the pool. How evil is that, right? One of the media snapped a picture of it, and it swept across the nation. The next morning, it pissed off President Johnson so bad, that was the day he signed the Civil Rights Bill. So we can talk all day about what Martin Luther King did. We can talk all day about the impact of Rosa Parks. But there was a children's movement that led us to get the victories that we truly need. And so it is pertinent that you support all youth that are trying to change for justice. And it is pertinent that we listen to the youth when we sit at the table with the demands. I don't even go to my table. I don't even go to my board table until I have connected in with the youth to ensure that my messaging and what I'm trying to change is substantial for them. Because what good is it? We can all stand here and change things the way that we want them to be changed right now. But I have 35,000 students in my school district. And that does not include private and charter schools. So there are over 35,000 students in this city in less than 10 years that will be running this city. So anything that I do, if it's not aligned with what they want, they're going to come right behind me and have to stand in the streets just like we are. Now, Jayanthi sings a song, "The Day's Gonna Come When We Won't March No More." If y'all truly feel it, I'm not going to sing it for you because I don't sing. Maybe my wife will step up here at one point and do it. But if y'all truly feel that song in your soul, if you really want to get to a point where some generation no longer has to stand in the street and march no more, we've got to listen to the youth. We've got to listen to the young people. We've got to follow the young people. We've got to support the young people. So again, every single
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. That's how we mobilize. So I want to call up a group where we're talking about what the police are doing to us, just as what Martin Luther King experienced, being arrested for standing up for what is right, and that's what happened here, right? We have 646 people arrested in Minneapolis on the freeway. And just a horrible, ridiculous experience being held on the freeway for 6 hours. But I think about Martin Luther King and all the photos of his arrest sitting there with the different numbers. And we have to make sure that we just don't go back in time, right? So we have to stand up against the city council representatives who are trying to do these crazy things because they're passing in other cities and in other states. We have to stay on top of it. So we're talking about, I think about the police, like, yeah, we are at war, right? This is really a war against us, and against the working class, against the poor, against the marginalized, against, those who would want to do better or have better or demand the rights that many of us should afford them. So I want to bring out Day with Veterans for Peace. If anyone knows about war, it's the veterans. And I just love Veterans for Peace. I love seeing that flag, and I've been seeing it ever since I've been out here. So short notice, literally, it was like from this morning. Okay, I'll come in, So thank you so much. I'm just so happy to be here.
Well, it's a tough act to follow these speakers because they're speaking from a real powerful place. And as veterans and our veterans group, we are in total solidarity with Black Lives Matter. I would urge everybody to check out the Poor People's Reverend Barber and the Poor People's Campaign, because in his last year, Martin Luther King got a lot of flack from the establishment, liberal establishment, because he said we need to go deeper, and we have to go and talk about diversification of distributing the wealth. And when he started talking about distributing the wealth, then all of a sudden all the important financial factors all of a sudden got cold feet. And we're talking about a military budget that's out of control. They can't even audit this military budget right now. Why? Are we any safer? Do we feel it's safer in the streets because of our military budget, all the money we spend? No. And we need to reassess where we're spending our money and our resources. And I'm very honored to be here with this group. And I always like to say, I appreciate everybody for getting out of their comfort zone and getting in the streets. And I also say, as an old white guy, it's time for us folks to get the hell out of the way and let the young people take over for a change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, yes, and thank you for your service. So we know that Dr. Martin Luther King spoke out against the war, right? He was recognizing the evil of it, how it's unjustified, and he spoke out against war. So we also have to remember that Martin Luther King, something that Mel Reeves also talks about, Martin Luther King was more than the one speech, I have a dream. Martin Luther King had some revolutionary speeches, and as he became more radical, moving over closer to the line of thought with Malcolm X, then he was killed. So let's look beyond the I Have a Dream speech to talk about peace, because we don't have peace. This is not a time of peace for us. This is a time where we are consistently having to fight for basic needs, basic necessities, and basic human rights. So to me, that looks like a war against us. And we have to remember that. When we talk about the civil rights movement was peaceful, people were killed. People were kidnapped. People were shot. People were set on fire. There's nothing peaceful about that. So I'm not sure how we talk about the civil rights movement and separate the violence that happened against those who are advocating for justice. Not sure how that's done. But I know that we are in a different time, and I see how people react in the streets. This is the human rights movement. Movement for human rights, not the civil rights movement. And we have some people that we see want to go back in time, but they think they can just push and hit and spit on people and rip aside, and we see them getting put in their place too, right? Different day and time. We're not taking that from us, right? Right. We're done with that. So next, I'm going to bring up Brandon. who's just been out here, you know, doing some amazing work and amazing spoken words, just consistently showing up, Brandon. Thank you so much for just coming and being out. Love you.
All right, so y'all can hear me good? Yeah. I think this is, it might not be, there might have been some smaller ones, but this is like the first bigger action we've had since Mel Reeves has passed. So I just want you guys to repeat after me, say, rest in peace, Mel Reeves.
Rest in peace, Mel Reeves.
Rest in power, Mel Reeves.
Rest in power, Mel Reeves.
Rest in love, Mel Reeves.
Rest in love, Mel Reeves.
Rest in justice, Mel Reeves.
Rest in justice, Mel Reeves.
I think when we talk, especially today on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, you know, we have Mel Reeves, who, after he was gone, there were so many people saying what an outstanding man he was, how he always fought for the right things, how he was great in his community, how he fought for his people. His funeral was on the 13th of January just last week, and Governor Walz declared the 13th of January Mel Reeves Day in Minnesota.
Nice.
Which is a beautiful thing. But then that leads me to the question, how many times was Mel Reeves at the governor's mansion protesting? And how many times did Governor Walz come and say anything to the man? How many times did Governor Walz come and listen to why Mel Reeves was out doing what he was doing in the community while he was living?
Yes.
How many times did Governor Walz come and listen to Mel Reeves when he was out protesting and doing his work in the community? It wasn't until after he was gone that Governor Walz said how much of an outstanding man that he was. And I think that is very true with Martin Luther King Jr. People want to compare us and tell us, be more like Martin Luther King Jr. without ignoring the fact that he was still assassinated. Right? If he was the peaceful one, why was he killed in cold blood, murdered, taken away? Because they knew what he was capable of. They don't care how you fight for what's right. They care that you're fighting. And they don't want you to fight anymore, so they're going to take care of you in whatever way they see fit, and normally that's them killing us. But what I want to compare between Martin Luther King Jr. and Mel Reeves, how after they're gone, you see how people take the parts that they liked from them and quote them and talk about them, and they do that to make themselves feel good. Right? How many politicians, how many government officials are going to put out an MLK Jr. quote today on their timeline, but still have not dropped any charges against the 646?
Listen!
How many elected officials are going to talk about how good of a man Martin Luther King Jr. was and how he changed the course, but are then going to come up with things like this that was handed out earlier, talking about how they need to limit what we can do when we protest, limit what we can do, where we can go, how loud we can be, that we can't have harmful language, right? Those are the things that they're going to do while also quoting Martin Luther King Jr. today. Are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that Martin Luther King Jr. wouldn't be in these streets with us today, with us right now? He would be here with us.
Yes.
But everyone who sits and complains about what we do today are going to quote Martin Luther King Jr. on their timeline today.
That's right.
And it's very frustrating. It is very frustrating because no matter what I do, no matter what I say, they're going to find a way to hate me while I'm living, but love me while I'm gone.
Listen!
They'll find a way to hate me now, but when I leave, they'll say he did some good things. Right? They want us to rest in peace. They want us to rest in power. But while we are living, they make sure that we don't experience any peace.
Listen.
And they make sure that we do not use our power. So what we need to do is continue to fight for people like Mel Reeves, for people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because we have the right to do so. They're going to try to take those rights away, but it does not matter because we are going to do them anyway. Because we know that that's what is right. We know that's what we need to do so that the next generations don't have to fight where we started. They can take our lead and push it even further, and push it even further, and push it even further. So I don't want today to be a pretty day of quotes, to be a pretty day of seeing his face all over timelines, while those same people are holding us down from performing the same actions that he helped us start, that he helped us to create, in the same movement that he was a part of, that he led us to. He talked about police brutality. In the I Have a Dream speech, he talked about, until my people are free from the shackles of police brutality. He said those things. He talked about getting rid of capitalism, how all that does is exploit the most vulnerable. He talked about these things. He was a socialist. But let you talk about socialism to any white conservative person, they're going to look at you crazy. They're going to call you a communist, say if you don't like it, leave. But then they're going to find a way to quote MLK Jr. today. We cannot continue to allow these contradictions to happen from people who are in elected positions. And if they do, because they will continue to happen, we need to call them out. And anyone who puts out an MLK quote today should be expected to do actions that MLK would also have done.
Listen!
And if they're not doing that, we can't just sit idly by and let them continue to do it. So all I want to say today is we have another ancestor in our fight, and we have to give him his flowers, his roses. We have to appreciate everyone who has led us to get to where we are now. We also have to appreciate everyone who is here with us today.
Yeah.
We also have to take everyone for who they are, take their whole message, and don't let it be diluted by people 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now who are going to misquote me but hate who I am as a person, right? Who are going to misquote Chantel, Monique, DJ, who are going to use these quotes to act like they're good people and act like they fought with us, when really we know that they're on their ass at their house, on their couch, doing nothing but bitching, moaning, complaining about what we do.
That's right.
So I just want you all to continue fighting, that the fight is going to continue until we get justice for all oppressed people, before we can all live in this country, live on this world as equal human beings. And that's, shoot, I can't say anymore. That's all we're going to keep doing.
All right, thank you.
So much. Thank you so much. What did Mel Reeves always say? When we fight,
we win.
That's right. When we fight, we win. Next, I'm going to have King Demetrius Pendleton. He's going to come up and talk about Clyde Belcourt. Actually, when I first met King Demetrius, we were shutting down the train with the action called Black Rail. And I think it was the very next day, I'm walking to the AIM event, American Indian Movement event at the Vikings were playing at that time over on the St. Paul Minneapolis campus of the University of Minnesota. So I was heading to that event, which was I'm Not Your Mascot. So I'm walking there, and then I see King D walking out, and he's got the whole AIM jacket and coat. I'm like, what's this? What is this? So come on up, King D.
There we go.
And I want to say this. I introduced myself to Clyde Belcourt at that event, and I was like, yeah, we got to do some more together. He was so nice, so receptive. Then I came out, saw him the next year, and last time I saw Clyde, he had cancer, and I was working at a museum where he was visiting, and so I just, rolled out the red carpet for him, made him feel loved and welcome, and really had to say how much I appreciate the work that he's done. Clyde Belcourt went to a maximum security prison for 25 years after being set up by an informant. We got to watch out for the people around us. We really do. And I want to thank King Demetrius Pendleton for giving me this. And King Demetrius took that photo of Mel Reeves and framed it and signed it. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you all, everybody. I just want to give my deepest condolences to our brother Mel Reeves, MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., and also Clyde Belcourt. I just wanted to just give a little background about Clyde Belcourt. In 1868, Clyde Belcourt started this AIM movement, American Indians movement. And basically what they wanted to do to make sure that their individuals and that their family and that their members and their generational people was able to carry their legacy. A lot of people was basically discriminating on Native American individuals. And just so we're clear, we are on native land, right? So we're on native land. So Clyde Belcourt came up with this AIM, American Indian Movement, along with 3 more other individuals. And they put this together, and they wanted to make sure that the Native American people was able to know their language, know their history, educate themselves, and what have they. They also have medical clinics. They also have just different things for people who have chemical dependency problems as well. Clyde Belcourt was really ahead of his time. And I didn't even know back in 1973, Clyde Belcourt was shot by another member of the AIM movement. And they reported him being dead. But Clyde Belcourt was well alive. But whenever you hear him speak, he always say, thunder before the storm. Whenever Clyde Belcourt showed up and he spoke power to truth. He was a very amazing individual. He spoke a lot about civil rights. He spoke a lot. He spoke nationally. He didn't just speak right here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He spoke nationally. So if anybody want to know anything about Clyde Belcourt, I urge you to please go and Google him. You won't be disappointed. He spoke a lot about African American people as well, about how Native American individuals face the same struggles as African American individuals as well. So I'd just like to thank you everybody for coming out in this gut-wrenching weather, but this is how we make change. We show up, we come out here, we show up. Those who show up, those are the ones who gets it. Thank you all for letting me speak real quick and solitary respect.
Thank you, King D. King D was a friend of Clyde Belcourt, so that's why I asked him to speak. So I'm just so happy to have some different organizations that are speaking today. So now we're going to have Kent come up from the Climate Justice Committee. And he's a ride or die. He's out here, doing the thing. And I love Marshall and his team. We kind of hang out in the back. So here you go, Kent.
Hey, folks. Kent Murray. I know a lot of folks here. I'm working with the Climate Justice Committee, and over the past few years, the George Floyd Rebellion, the Stop Line 3 resistance, they kind of called to mind Martin Luther King, Clyde Belcourt, Mel Reeves. Basically, those senior brothers have all given us direction about how we need to keep resistance in the streets, because as Martin Luther King said, rebellion is the only thing that the powers that be listen to. And so we need to be out here resisting in the streets, making sure that they understand that we're going to hold them accountable.
That's right.
Whether it be police murders, white supremacist murders, Enbridge, climate disaster, we're going to be out here and we're going to be fighting back. We're going to say, when the people are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Next I'm going to call up Ben Ramirez is Ben here? Okay, maybe Ben will be here a little later. Ben is with Assemblea. I can't even say the name right. So we'll check for him later. Next, I'm going to call up, you all know him, you've seen him at the protests and chanting, losing his voice. Rubik Cube champion, master, chess master.
Chess master, right.
DJ,
all right. Listen. Go DJ.
You doing it? Yeah, so so the first thing I want to bring attention to.
All right, give it up for our elders. Give it up to our leaders that have paved the way. All right. coming up, make sure you take, if you can, take pictures with them. Okay? They're actually, over the past 6 years, there's been elders that we given awards to, and then a few years later, they weren't here with us, so make sure, we want to give them their flowers. It's very important that you give people their flowers while they're here. All right? We do have some performances. So we do have some performances outside. We also have Little Kings. At 5 o'clock, we got hip-hop that starts at World Famous. You can stay warm at Flicker Bar. Manhattan will open at 4 o'clock. But for now, as long as you can, hang outside and jam a little bit. We're going to show the documentary at 5 o'clock. Support these vendors. Thank y'all for coming out. My name is Mocha Jasmine Johnson, by the way, if I didn't introduce myself. My husband and I are the co-founder of the MLK Day Parade, Athens Anti-Discrimination Movement, amongst many other things that we do in this community. We do this because we want to bring the community together. We want us to celebrate, and we want to stand together in the name of justice and equality. All right, so today we're going to have a good time. We do have a few people that are running for office, and we want to make sure you understand, because that is something that Martin Luther King fought for, your right to vote. It is very important. Did y'all hear me? That is something that he sacrificed his life for. The right for us to vote, to elect the leaders that we want in office. So, without further ado, I want to give it up.
Happy King's Day. Happy King's Day. For you who may not know me or may know me, my name is Paul Walton. I'm currently the mayor of Hall in Madison County. I am running for Congress in the 10th Congressional District. But today is not about me. It's about Dr. King. And as Mrs. Mocha was saying, we most definitely need to exercise our right to vote and to get to the ballot. You know, they're making it hard for us to get to the ballot, but I tell you what, they can put a precinct on the moon, and we're going to make our way to the ballot. They're trying to suppress our vote, but one thing we got to remember is not to suppress our own vote.
Pero bueno, espero ya hayan disfrutado el desfile. Si no puede venir, pues ya lo vio ahorita. Entonces, yo soy Ángel de Dignidad Inmigrante. Que pasen todos muy buenas tardes. Vénganse al centro. Aquí lo esperamos. Hasta luego.
But the last speech King gave, he already knew he wasn't going to be able to see the end product. But he saw us getting to the promised land, okay? And he knew that even if he had to give up himself for that, that we would get there. And I'm tired of that, because we don't need any more, you know, like we don't need any more people to die, right? We just need y'all to do the right thing. We need y'all to make sure that people have the right resources. You know, I can literally go get an MLK quote, a Martin Luther King. I can go get a Martin Luther King speech right now, and I can say it, and y'all wouldn't even know. Like y'all would think I was still talking about today. Like that's where we at. If I turned it, if I took out him saying Negro, and I took it, you know, and I just moderned it up a little bit, you know, put a little hip hop, y'all wouldn't even know. Y'all literally wouldn't know. That's where we at right now. 50, 60 years later, y'all wouldn't know. See, y'all better watch out. I'm going to show up one day and do that. Y'all really going to be messed up. Boy, yeah, I'm going to finish with my speech like, thank you, MLK. Y'all be like shocked. So I just want to make sure everyone remember that, you know, revolution is not fun like the TV shows make it look like. Revolution is not easy. Revolution takes guts. Revolution is a bold action. And revolution is, you know, you're going to have to come out here, you got to fight, you got to do what it takes to get it accomplished, okay? Yes. All right. All power to the people!
All power to the people!
Thank you so much, DJ. Next, I'm going to call up Black Lives Matter Minnesota co-founder and lead organizer Troy Hunt Cruz, who's just out here doing so many different things for the community. He just does not stop. He truly is a workhorse just out here. He's the first person here that I know of that was talking about reparations for the descendants of enslaved African people, and he's taken that work and done so much with it, although others tried to co-opt his work. I'm giving credit to the original right here, and he's doing that, has been doing it on a national level. So we don't necessarily see the work that he's doing around the country and how his thoughts and mind, just brilliant, just a brilliant mind. I call him sometimes like a walking encyclopedia. He sits down and he just studies and reads about history, and I'm saying, oh, such happened in St. College. So we know such was the founder of St. College. He was for pro-slavery, and then he did da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh, okay. And it happens all the time, but one subject or another. So thank you, Trainer, for coming out. And I think it says that these hand warmers are air activated. I don't know. I do have some foot warmers. Those get hot if you need something else. I got some up here. Thank you, Trainer, for coming out.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. No good cops in a racist system. 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 I want to thank Patrice Kohlers for creating a movement for us to hold police accountable in the United States. I want to thank Monique Kohlers-Dottie and Nakima Levy-Pounds for bringing me into the Black Lives Matter movement so that we could, Nakima Levy-Armstrong, I keep doing that, I'm sorry. Okay, what is that? Martin Luther King supported full and complete reparations for the American descendants of slavery. Martin Luther King said, when we go to Washington, we're coming to get our check. Then he said, the check was null and void. So Martin Luther King started a war on poverty. Martin Luther King also started the Poor People's Campaign. Martin Luther King wasn't afraid to say the word poor.
Listen.
Some of our progressive friends are afraid to say poor.
Yes.
Are afraid to admit that there are poor people. The racial wealth gap in America, according to Demos, is substantial and is driven by public policy. Public policies are laws and procedures, and those laws and procedures in Minnesota hurt the people that society fears the most, and the people that society fears the most look like George Floyd,
listen,
look like Dante Wright, look like Jamar Clark, look like Marcus Golden, look like Tamir Rice, right? So Martin supported full and complete reparations for the American descendants of chattel slavery, and we should too. We should be fighting for economic justice. We should be fighting to close the racial wealth gap in this country. Martin Luther King also was against police brutality. He fought hard against police brutality, like you guys are fighting here today. If Martin Luther King was alive today, he would be out here with us. If Medgar Evers was alive today, he'd be out here with us. If John Lewis was in his youth, they'd be out here with us. Even Malcolm X will be out here standing with us today. So you guys are standing on the shoulders of our ancestors who have been fighting for our freedom for a very long time. And I just want to thank you all for continuing this fight, continuing to stand against justice and coming together against white supremacy and institutional racism. Let's continue to fight for policies like making the police carry professional liability insurance, ending qualified immunity, and ending the statute of limitations so that Marcus Golden can get justice, so that Justin Teigen can get justice, so that Delon Ed can get justice, and Breonna Taylor. A lot of women now are starting to be killed and beat by the police, so we got to stand up for black women. Breonna Taylor, Ma'Khia Bryant, Charlena Lyles, right here in St. Paul, Desiree Collins was mauled by a canine. in her arm and she had one bad arm, and the canine gnawed on her good arm, and then 2 years later she passed away from the pain. So thank you all for coming out to give. Also, let's celebrate King D right now. Let's celebrate Brandon right now. Let's celebrate DJ, Nakima, and the people while we're living. Let's not wait till we become a hashtag to celebrate our modern day freedom fighters. Thank you all for coming out here. I love y'all. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to ask this, Women for Military Madness, thank you for coming out. Is there something you all would like to say? Come on up. We just see you out so much, and thank you so much for just being here. I obviously got Clay when we're out and about. Thank you. Thank you. Woo. My name is Lucia. I have been with Women Against Military Madness for a long time.
Yes.
Have worked certainly with Mel Reeves and Clyde Bellacourt for a long time, decades. Yes, young people, make room for young people. I think of myself as an elder and therefore, demand respect, but we know that wars, U.S. wars, are largely racist wars, and Brown Lives Matter, Arab Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Thank you for your voices that are heard today, and every day, voices and Black Lives Matter. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much. We have just a special treat. Diantha Kyle is here. Come on, Diantha. Just warms my heart. I just, I remember when I first saw Diantha. She was up on the Black Lives Matter Minneapolis truck singing. I was like, oh, she's just so beautiful. I could just sense her spirit, And this is a story I have about Diantha when we were at the Jamar Clark occupation. So I had laid down my Black Lives Matter, the long banner. And then we had the GDC banner laid down right next to it in solidarity. This woman just comes just stomping. Like she's just gonna walk across my stuff. Like, wait a minute. And I was about to snap and Diantha just put her hand on my shoulder. Everything just, I was like, hey, it just, the peace. She saw I was going to go in on her. So Diantha, she just has that ability, to bring peace because she lives that, right? Like when we organize, I'll just send her something because she's not on Facebook. It's too much mess because she centers herself in joy and peace and in music, and it is reflected in her beautiful children. They are so precious, and that's because she makes sure that she's protecting herself and the energy around her. So thank you so much for coming out. She's gonna bless us with a song.
Listen.
Thank you, Auntie Monique. And I appreciate that you feel like I'm protecting myself, but I appreciate that y'all are protecting us. Yeah. That when you come out, we have to keep this right to assembly like this, and this right to dissent. This is so important. And I watched one of the first protests that I went to. I watched Brother Mel Reeves go inside and talk with the police in order to let this woman out, and we were out there for 3 hours.
Yes.
And if we didn't do that, she would have just been in there with her children, not having her for the evening. So I got to watch it in action. I got to watch that happen, where it really mattered, and Mel let us know that it really mattered that we were out there. So I want you to know that it really matters that you're out here. Say, I am. Somebody. Say, I am. Somebody. That's right. The day gonna come when I won't march no more. The day gonna come when I won't march no more.
Listen.
While my sister ain't equal and my brother can't breathe, hand in hand with my family, we will fill these streets. There go my sister. the people are free. Hey, hey, the day gonna come when I won't march no more. Oh, yeah, the day gonna come when I won't march no more. But while my sister ain't equal and my brother can't breathe, hand in hand with my family, we will fill these streets. Hey, there, policeman. Oh! I can't breathe. Hey, there, policeman. Oh, I can't breathe. Hey, there, policeman. Oh, I can't breathe. Lay down your weapons and your badges and
listen to me.
That's right, the day gonna come when I won't march no more. Oh yeah, the day gonna come when I won't march no more. But while my sister ain't equal and my brother can't breathe, hand in hand with my family, we will fill these streets. Wanna see your president? Hey. Marching with me. I gotta see a mayor. Hey. Marching with me. I wanna see a senator. Hey. Marching with me. Come join my family as we march toward equality. Hey, hey, the day gonna come when I won't march no more. That's right, the day gonna come when I won't march no more. But while my sister ain't equal and my brother ain't free, hand in hand with my family, we will fill these. Maybe tomorrow, when the people are free, maybe tomorrow we can have some equality. Maybe tomorrow, I can truly breathe. Till then my voice will fill the streets. Let the people be free. Listen. Hey, the day gonna come. That's right, the day gonna come when I won't march no more. But while my sister and my brother can breathe, hand in hand with my family, we will fill these streets.
Listen.
Hand in hand with my family, we will fill these streets.
Woo! Thank you very much for the beautiful surprise. Thank you so much. I also want to give a shout out to the family of Hardell Sherrill. So, Trey Cruz is the uncle of Hardell Sherrill, who was allowed to die needlessly in Beltrami County jail. His mother has fought so hard and has now the Hardell Sherrill law in place. So that will benefit families such as Christopher, who was killed in Austin, Minnesota, having that law in place. So thank you for bringing that sign. I also want to give a shout out to Sophie, the Family Supporting Families. She did that wonderful graphic for us, right? We got to change our format because the police keep changing our event locations and times and days, and so it's all on the graphic. And so what I noticed today, when I was coming, shout out to Jess Sundin, who wasn't able to make it here. She's got some family health issues and things from her loved ones. So she had shared it, so I got to notice that she shared the event. And I looked, I was like, wait a minute, what is this? This is not the graphic for the event. So I had no option on my phone, because I always mess with my phone. I could not even change it, so I had to get on my computer and put the graphic back on. So, you know, eventually they'll just copy the graphic, start changing the graphic. But Sophie did an amazing job at the last minute, and we just kept making mistakes. We're like, somebody like, oh, you did it wrong. And they tell us, like, and I'm looking at Luca, and I'm like, is it wrong? I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute, yeah, it is. I'm like, wait a minute, we got the wrong day on here? Like, what's happening? It was a lot of back and forth at the last minute, but she did it with just the spirit of joy. And just so positive. It's just the energy of like, wow, that's beautiful. And offered her services just in the future, and so sweet. So thank you so much, because that graphic kind of just set it off and let people know what was happening, everything that we're doing, and we just love it. Thank you so much for that. Do we have our speaker from Assemblea here yet? No, we don't. Okay. Well, we're gonna where's Sashira? Okay. Well, we're gonna do a little tribute. We'll turn it over to them in a moment. We're gonna line up and just do a little walk here. Love that sign. freedom to assemble, pride, no margin. Thank you so much. Okay.
I'm sorry.
So, Chantel's going to turn on the truck. We're going to line up, face this one, and need to let her get in front of us.
Cars coming through. Come on. Hey, Kenneth. Kenneth.
Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
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 Marcus Golden, say his name.
Marcus Golden.
What's his name?
Marcus Golden.
Say his name.
Marcus Golden. Marcus Golden. Marcus Golden. Marcus Golden. Marcus Golden. Marcus Golden.
Say his name.
Justin Tiger.
What's his name?
Justin Tiger.
Say his name.
Justin Tiger.
What's his name?
Justin Tiger.
Say his name.
Justin Tiger.
Say his name.
Justin
And we're taking the whole intersection, so if you want to spread out. Go eat, say his name. What's his name? Scream his name. Okay, good. All right. Kobe Heisman, say his name. Kobe Heisman. What's his name? Kobe Heisman. Scream his name. Kobe Heisman. Kobe Heisman. Kobe Heisman. Kobe Heisman. Scream his name. Kobe Heisman. Scream his name. Kobe Heisman. What's his name? Kobe Heisman. What's his name? Justin Target! Say his name! Justin Target! What's his name? Justin Target! Justin Target! Justin Target! Justin Target! Justin Target! If Justin don't get it, shut it down! If Justin don't get it, shut it down! If Justin don't get it, shut it down! If Justin don't get it,
See how they act on MLK Day?
Okay.
They just got in a rush to go nowhere.
The main thing that I want to touch base on today is the fact that they're trying to stop us and make it very hard for us to exercise our First Amendment right. And we have the right to be out here. If they wouldn't have killed half the people that they killed, we wouldn't even have a reason to be out here. And we cannot forget what Martin Luther King stood up for. He stood up for there is no disconnect. These killings at the hands of police that we're experiencing here in the state of Minnesota, it's about white supremacy. Just like it was back in 1968, it was about white supremacy. That's what it is now in 2022 here in the state of Minnesota. And so we are going to continue to hold these people accountable and continue to be out here, and we're not going to let them silence us. So if Marcus don't get it, shut it down. 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 There is no way that last Friday we had to basically have a reunion of Marcus's murder a few days before Martin Luther King Day today, and we can separate the fact that these people are withholding their white supremacy. This is all about white people telling us that we can't do something. That's white supremacy. It's all about withholding their power, and we're done with that. We're done listening to what they want us to do. So again, before I'm done, if Marcus don't get it, shut it down. 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 Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to head back. We're going to head back. We're not holding the intersection long, but we sent a message that, you know, hey, we're here. We can't just allow people to continue about their day, just reminding them about what we've been through, what we're going through, and what we're fighting against. So, Chantel, where is she? Okay, we're getting ready to move. Can we have, and then when we get back, huh?
We're good now, though.
Yeah, we're good. Oh, we're good now? You want another speaker? Okay, I guess we can have another speaker. No, we're going to go back. We're going to get lined up and go back. So we do have We have a couple speakers when we get back, so we're going to keep moving.
Yeah.
All right, so who do we have chanting for us on the way back? Okay, Raymond.
Say, I am somebody.
Somebody.
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 If we fight, we can win.
We can win.
When I say if we fight, you say we can win. If we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
if we fight,
We can win.
say I am somebody.
Somebody.
I am somebody.
Somebody.
I am somebody.
Somebody.
I am somebody.
Somebody.
I am somebody.
No, 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 no.
Somebody.
I am somebody.
Somebody.
As long as you can, I am somebody.
Hell yeah.
I am somebody.
Somebody.
I am somebody.
Somebody.
I am somebody.
Somebody.
I am somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Native lives, they matter here. Native lives, they matter here. Black youth, they matter here. Black youth, they matter here. Native lives, they matter here. Native lives, they matter here. When black lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up like that.
When black lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up like that.
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 When native lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up like that.
When native lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up like that.
What do we do?
Stand up like that.
What do we do?
Stand up like that.
What do we do? What do we do?
Stand up like that.
When black lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up like that.
When black lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up like that.
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 When I say black lives, you say matter. Black lives.
Matter.
Black lives.
Matter.
Black lives. Black lives. Black lives. Black lives. Black lives. Black lives. Black lives.
Matter.
Black lives.
Matter.
Black lives.
Matter.
Black lives. Black lives. Black lives. Black lives. Black lives. Native lives. Native lives. Native lives. Native lives. Trans lives. Trans lives. Trans lives. Trans lives.
Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop.
Listen!
Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Say
Listen!
what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power people united will never be defeated. The 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 people united will never be defeated. People united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. What do we want? Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want them?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you so much. So, one thing about the movement that it gives us an opportunity, right, to meet other people who are struggling and maybe have not been able to find the help and assistance that they need. So this sister, I'm like, I need glasses, okay? So I'm looking at this, it's like, oh, that looks like they're one basketball player. I wonder if he just said something about Martin Luther King. So I get close, I'm like, wait a minute. Her brother's in jail, in prison. So she wants to, she's going to tell us a little about something that's going on, then we're going to get your information and, see if we can support you, okay? Yeah. Come on, babies. Come on, babies. Woo!
Yeah.
Listen!
Hello, everyone. My name is Marvina Haynes, and I'm here on behalf of my brother, Justice for Marvin Haynes. My brother was stolen away from us when he was 16 years old. We have been fighting his fight for almost 18. We have been fighting his fight for almost 18 years. May 14th, we're going to have a protest on behalf of Marvin that will be his 18th year in prison for a crime that he didn't commit. There was no evidence in this case that was leading Marvin to the case. There's nothing that's pointing Marvin to be the criminal in this case. So we're just here today to try to fight to bring Marvin home. 18 years is a long time. Marvin wanted me, if I did have an opportunity to say something, he wanted me to say a quote from Martin Luther King today. And the quote is, sorry you guys.
Take your time. We got your back.
We got your back. We got your back.
The quote is, long justice is denied justice. By Martin Luther King. And that's the quote that he wanted to share with all of you guys today. So thank you guys for hearing Marvin's story. You can look at him, you can look his story up at justiceformarvinhaynes16.com. He was 16 years old when they took him away from us. We have interrogation videos on there. I just warn everyone, if you do watch it, have a seat, because it reminds us of the video the way they see us. So hopefully with all this stuff, we'll be able to bring my brother home, because 18 years is a long time. Thank you guys for your time and your patience.
Free Marvin Haynes! Free Marvin Haynes!
Free Marvin Haynes! Free Marvin Haynes! Absolutely. Thank you all. Thank you for coming out here with your family. And don't leave without me sharing contact information. And yeah, for her, like, yeah, me too. Yes, we have to do that, right? You saw what happened to Maya Burrell, right? And he was a teenager, lost his whole, youth, and in prison. So let your brother know we're sending love, and we're gonna move on this. So we've got Deborah Watts here. Yeah. She is the cousin of Emmett Till, and so she has started the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation, and her family, her daughters, they're just beautiful. They are doing great work. I've known Deborah for over 30 years, actually. And it's so funny because she doesn't age. Her daughters don't age, and she was coming to church with her grandson, and for years I thought it was her son. And she was like, oh, your grandson? So Yes, and Deborah just keeps going. She had a beautiful event called Music for Emmett to honor what would have been Emmett Till's 80th birthday. And she was so gracious, you know, she just treated us so well. People in the movement, you know, she just gave us tickets and the families to come. And it was beautiful. She had a national audience and celebrities speaking and giving messages. So that was an incredible event. And she's just been trying to get the woman who really started it all with Emmett Till, get her charged. And it's just ridiculous that we're still fighting and struggling after all these years. Yeah, so I didn't mean to speak for you. I just wanted to just tell you who she was and the amazing work that she's done. Thank you for that. She also brought me a sweet potato pie from Rose McGee. Yes, sweet potato comfort pie. And honor of Martin Luther King. Well, you know, if I had a knife and some plates, so we could cut that up right here. Anyone got some knives and plates? Okay. Well, thank you. So thank you for coming out. I called Deborah and asked her to speak, so thank you so much, Deborah.
You know, she has said it all, actually. Okay, closer to my mouth. Okay. Again, Deborah Watts, it's an honor to be here. President of Emmett Till and the co-founder of the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation. I know you all have been out here a while, and I'm not going to keep you, but all I want to say is that justice delayed is justice denied, and this is Martin Luther King's birthday. So on his 93rd birthday, we've got to move beyond the dream, because our reality is more like a nightmare, as I think the flyers were saying. And so we're just asking for everyone to join us as we call for justice, accountability, and truth in Emmett Till's case and all the other stolen lives cases, because you all have been out there, and we appreciate all of your support. But it's about time that we get justice, accountability, and truth. And so for Emmett's case, I just want to ask you to text Emmett to 243-725. Or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you'll see all that information. But please text Emmett, E-M-M-E-T-T, to 243-725. You'll see our petition. We have over 100,000 signatures. We will be having an action soon, and I'll let those organizers know when and where, because we need to charge Carolyn Bryant Donham, the last living accomplice, with the kidnapping and murder of Emmett Till. She is an accomplice. And the case, please repeat after me, the case is not closed. The case is not closed.
Listen.
Only the investigation by the DOJ. So Mississippi, from Mississippi, which is here, to Mississippi, we're saying we're watching you. Have the courage. Dwayne Richardson, Len Fitch, who's the Attorney General, to charge Carolyn Bryant Donham now. I also want to say that with the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation, we were able to honor women who have been nominated to receive our Women of Courage Award. And it may not have been mentioned here today, but one of those honorees is here, and that's Monique Doty. So please give her a round of applause. There were 16 women that were honored, because it takes courage to do this. And then look around, right back there in the corner there is Nakima Levy Armstrong. She got the award as well. So listen, we got to give our flowers. We got to keep marching. We got to keep pushing forward for justice for all the stolen lives. Thank you very much, families. Thank you very much, activists, comrades, and others. We love you, we appreciate you, and thank you so much, Monique. Enjoy that pie. Thank you all.
So thank you so much, Deborah. And yes, Deborah, that was an amazing event where she was honoring women, you know, just not all here, but people for the work that they're doing across the country, and sent a beautiful plaque. Just beautiful. And I need to post that plaque as well. So she just keeps it moving, and she does not let, you know, life's hard not get her down. She keeps going. So thank you for your consistency And thank you for highlighting the example that Emmett Till set when she showed her son's body to the world. And we have to go forward with that same courage. I know Toya wanted to say something. Is Toya still here? Is Toya here? Okay, so on that note, I want to say this was a great action. I just love the spot. We haven't been here before, but it's a nice little spot, kind of in the cut, but we were able to get out, disrupt a little traffic, which I absolutely love doing. And Toya, you want to say something?
Happy Martin Luther King Day, everybody. Happy Martin Luther King Day, everybody.
Happy Martin Luther King Day.
I believe, I've heard a lot of people say that if Martin was living, that he would be out here with us. I believe that if he had lived, that we wouldn't have to be out here anymore.
Right.
I believe that the goal was to end white supremacy. I believe that he was out here fighting for his people, and that 50 years later, we wouldn't still have to be fighting the same fight that he was fighting back then. I believe that we wouldn't have to be standing saying, begging for our humanity right now if Martin Luther King had lived. That's why he was assassinated. But I'm so glad to see all you guys out. I'm so glad to be here. And I hope that we continue I hope that we continue to fight this fight till one day we see that Martin Luther King's dream, his actual dream, is fulfilled. His actual dream was to see his people, living in equality, to see his people living happily and free. Because until we are free, nobody is free. Until we are free, nobody is free. Until we are free, nobody is free. All right.
Thank you, Toya. Thank you, Toya. She's another day one. She was out there when Marcus first got killed, along with Nakima as well. And I appreciate all of you. I want to give a shout out to the marshals who did a wonderful job. Those on the foot marshals and those in the cars that we were able to get out there and shut down that intersection. So thank you so very much, all of you. Thank you for coming out as we honor Martin Luther King, the work that he did, the work that Mel Reeves did, the work that Clyde Bellecourt did that help us, especially right here in the Twin Cities, to be the people that we are in this movement. And one thing I'm going to say, about Mel Reeves for sure, he taught lessons that at the time I was like, okay, but now I'm going to put some of those things into practice, right? He was a true community organizer. He would always say, you can't just organize on Facebook. And he would make flyers and have people out canvassing, trying to engage the community, right? And so that's something that I think we could do more of, truly engaging the community, going out and flyering, and letting people know what happens. And sometimes people feel like they have to be invited. This is not a clique. You show up, and you're going to be appreciated and welcome, right? We don't turn our back on people, like, oh, you're not wearing this. I mean, I don't even match, so, I'm certainly not going to be talking about nobody. So just come on out when you see our events up. We move in solidarity. There's a long list of organizations, and when those organizations are out, we do our best to provide a safe environment for you. So another shout out to the marshals and for all the people who trained the marshals. Shout out to Chantel, who had the vision for the sound truck, and she brought that vision into reality. And she's out here driving that truck for Texas. She is a co-founder of Black Lives Matter Twin Cities Metro, along with myself and Satara, wherever she is, she's out here too. I love everyone. I love you all. Thank you. Happy Martin Luther King Day. And we did the dang thing today, didn't we? Woo! Thank you all.
Asada chant.
Oh, the Asada chant. Yeah. Right. Forgot about the Asada chant. Where's Tashira?
Nakima.
Oh, Chantel's here. This time, Chantel. She coming out the truck?
Come on, Nakima. What's up?
That's right, Chantel's here. So Chantel, she's come on, Chantel. What's up, Asada chant?
I was trying to get warm. I know I was born here, but I ain't made for this.
right, y'all. So we're gonna just get to it because I'm cold. So just repeat after me. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to win. We have a duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another. Because we have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. And we're gonna chant it out just a little bit stronger because we ain't been in the streets for a while. We got to get some of that frustration out. A lot of things are happening around us that we're soaking up that we don't even realize. So push it out just a little bit more. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to win. We have a duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to win. We have a duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another. Because we have nothing to lose but our chains. 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 All power to the people. Keep fighting, y'all.
It's a certain momentum that happens.
Thank you all, everybody, for tuning in to Listen Media USA. Thank you for listening to what we have to say. Here's what's happening in your neck of the hood.
Can make a difference at this particular time, and
that Dr. King worked with was the American Jewish Committee and the American Jewish community. And all of us are praying for the Colleyville Synagogue and standing against hate and anti-Semitism. And all of us are believing in the security under the First Amendment that we all should be able to practice our religion.
Full time.
And so I'm delighted that the Anti-Defamation League is here in the place of Mr. Tobin. If you would just come and say a word regarding where we find ourselves with the United States Senate and this precious right to vote.
Love, Papa! Love, yo!
Thank you, Representative Lee, for your leadership and for your words. This weekend has been challenging, but we are grateful for the support of the community, for the interfaith community, for our leaders, for law enforcement in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but also in the Houston area, who have been absolutely terrific in stepping up their patrols and stepping up their support to ensure the safety of our community, but of our entire community. Because an attack against the Jewish community is an attack against all of us. And we must stand firm if we are going to be strong. So thank you. There are two very important and critical pieces of legislation. One enhances access to the polls for everyone.
Yes, Papa.
That is the Fair Right to Vote Act.
Power!
That makes sure that people can vote more easily. They can have more access to the polls. They can register to vote online and with more ease. The second act, the John Lewis Act, that inhibits states from taking away the right to vote, taking away your vote. These two acts go together. It's incumbent upon the Senate to pass both of these acts to ensure the sanctity and the safety of our democracy. When we are done, first thing tomorrow, call our senators and urge that they support both of these bills. First thing tomorrow. Thank you.
Yo, Papa! Thank you, Papa.
Socialize and talk and get to know each other. We are going to get through this pandemic, and it's going to take a collective effort, and I'm delighted to be here and delighted to see so many people unified around this cause. Thank you so much.
were called to this profession, because let me tell you, I'm the mother of 2 daughters, one of whom went through Minneapolis public schools. For somebody to be called to this work, they should be given a salary commensurate with how difficult this work actually is. You all know that to come into this, they're the 4 pillars: the calling, the challenge, the camaraderie and community, you know, and the coin. And if one ain't working, 3 of them might suffice. But what they've tried to do is to take away that coin and shove kudos under there. Atta girl, atta boy. In the words of Beyonce, fuck you, pay me. I've been in Minneapolis public schools since 1998, fresh out of the University of Minnesota. Hold up. My first contract was for $27,000, 089. And I thought I was doing something. Hold up, though. I bought a house in South Minneapolis on 38th and Chicago, right? 38th and Columbus Avenue, 4 bedrooms on a double lot, that big green house, for $69,900. Yeah, in 1998. Hold up. Because, see, I'm being a little gauche. I'm being a little tacky. People in the Midwest, y'all middle-class folks, we don't talk about money. We don't talk about money, but I'm talking about money. Because y'all know my steps and lanes, right? A master's plus 60 and 23 years in. I'm getting paid, trust. I'm getting paid. But I have colleagues that are ESPs, also college educated, with 2 jobs. Come on. I can't stand it. So stand up. Stand up. Come on, y'all. Let me talk to you. What you have learned, because you have observed, is how this country uses relative deprivation to make you feel good about your lot in life. So what? My colleague, because they ain't got the degree I got, has to make 1/3 of what I make? Baby, if somebody got to be on their knees for me to feel tall, I need to reevaluate my life. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. We should all be eating good. We should all be eating good. We are paying these folks poverty wages. I had a student actually insult someone in my presence, not my student, but a student insulted someone about how much they were making compared to this professional. It's a shanda. It's a shame. It's a shame that they were able to fix their mouth to do that, knowing the amount of work that that person is doing. And they are called to the work. And then we wonder why more people aren't called to the work. And I need y'all to be careful, because I'm an English teacher. Language matters. Don't talk about how the job is so hard, ain't nobody gonna want to do it. People wanted to do it, but pay them. Pay them. They need to be paid the money that is commensurate with the work. And I will tell you right now, 23 years in, that school would shut down without our ESPs. That school will shut down without our engineers. That school would shut down without the folks in the lunchroom. That school would shut down. They make school happen. They make school happen. And when I hear that this woman, who is educationally equivalent to me, qualifies for MA, I ain't talking Obamacare, medical assistance with the wages she gets from the same building I get my wage. It's a shame. And if you can't stand it, stand up. If you can't stand it, stand up. I need y'all to be ready to stand up, because what they do with their 4 pillars of what we do. They think we're called to the work, and we are. They think it's the appropriate challenge, and it is, right? And then they assuage us with the community. But that coin, the conditions. Oh, I'm an English teacher. I love alliteration. I could go on. Okay. But it's not enough. We are fighting for the dignity that is reified and codified in the terms that we lay out and shove across the table toward them. And if they don't want to bargain, let me talk to you. I've been at George Floyd Square for 20 months. I didn't go grocery shopping for at least 15 of them because there's a little thing called mutual aid. Save your coins, y'all. Save your money a little bit. Just put a little off to the side, please. Do a little link tree, a little phone tree, and figure out who your homies are, your little comrades, your colleagues, who you gonna help in their time of need to stave this off a little bit if need be. And I say if need be, baby. Collective bargaining, that's people power. And what we've shown, not just in Minneapolis, but throughout the United States and the world, where there's people, there's power. Where there's people, there's power. Where there's people, there's power. And if y'all don't think that we educators are some of the most powerful people in this city right now, you ain't paying attention. You're not paying attention. You gotta wake up, and you have to prepare, in my Billy Elliot dance teacher voice, prepare, and do it with no trepidation. Do it with no fear. Prepare, because we know our value. And we know our value to this city. We know our value to our families. And frankly, you better know your value to yourself. Prepare. Prepare. Because when public education is under attack, what do we do? What do we do? Y'all, we need to fight for our colleagues. We need to put this people power together and stand for our colleagues and stand for yourself. When public education is under attack, what do we do? Because if you can't stand it, then you need to stand up. Prepare. Prepare. Are we ready yet? Did you hear that? Did you hear that, teacher? Did you hear her? Let's hear it again from Mercia Howard. Yes! When public education is under attack, what do we do? Let me hear you again like we mean it. When public education is under attack, what do we do? When public education is under attack, what do we do? All right, so without further ado, I am going to introduce to you, and maybe some of you guys already know him, but he's our local president. His name is Sean Layden. He comes to us with a plethora of knowledge and information and fight. Sometimes we say, oh, you're moving kind of slow, Sean, but he's methodical and strategic. So let's hear it for the president of the Educational Support Professionals, Sean Layden, MFT Local 59. Thank you.
All right, we've had some questions about sound. Are we a little better in the back? All right, we're a little bit better. All right, I got this chant sheet. I didn't get to march with folks, so I saw this, and I thought maybe we could do this together because it kind of cuts to the heart of the matter. Ho ho, hey hey, show our ESP the pay. Ho ho, hey hey, show our ESP the pay. Ho ho, hey hey. Show our ESP the pay! Hey, hey! Show our ESP the pay! All right.
And the reason we have to kind of cut through it and go right to it sometimes is because it's easy to forget and easy to lose details. A typical special ed assistant in the Minneapolis public schools coming in makes $24,000 a year. They don't work 40 hours a week. We don't have pay over holiday breaks or non-student contact days. We pay the same for health insurance as our colleagues making $140,000 a year. And you may have heard something similar, but this is what Minneapolis Public Schools called their equity-based health insurance plan. So Brenda asked us earlier, I'm going to ask again, are you all pissed off? Yes! Are you all pissed off? Yes! Well, I need you to go back to your work sites this week, and I need you to talk to your colleagues and send a message. This contract campaign is different. This time, it's different. In my 11 years in Minneapolis Public Schools, I've never seen our chapters working closer together. This last Friday, our local filed for mediation in bargaining. This coming Wednesday, our joint executive board is going to discuss authorizing a strike authorization vote. And we're going to ask our members to decide what is the next step that we are willing to take to do things differently. Our state has a $7.7 billion surplus. Wells Fargo, right across the way here, has never been doing better. Never been doing better. U.S. Bank over there has never been doing better. The financial services industry in this town has never been doing better. And when we go to the voters and we ask, you know what, we need some change in this town. Our police aren't treating our residents the way they need to be treated. We need fundamental change. What did Wells Fargo and U.S. Bank and the Chamber of Commerce do? They poured millions of dollars into our local elections just saying nothing's gonna change. Are you pissed off? Yes! It's about time we do something about it. Yes! And that's why we've got a union. Wells Fargo's never been better, and yet we've got ESPs living in our cars. 2 years ago when the Drake Hotel burned down, a shelter which housed dozens of our families, I got a call from our member. Our colleague in ESP said, that was my home, that's where I was living. Can anyone here who works in a school do it without ESPs? No! Have you ever heard an administrator say, Dad, we can't run this school without you? Have you ever heard a teacher say, I couldn't run my classroom without my ESP? Have you ever heard a family member say, you know my child better than anyone else in the building? We like to say we make school happen for a reason. And the inverse of we make school happen is that we can also make school not happen. And we've got to have every one of you go out and talk to your colleagues about this. This is critical. We've got to stick together. And that's why we asked the Ask Me Clerical Union to be here today in Minneapolis Public Schools. Jessica Burton, the Ask Me Local President, is out here. She came up to me. She reminded me, you know, Sean, we're in mediation too. And do you think they're giving Ask Me a good deal? Oh, hell no. And SEIU, the food service workers out here, because they make school happen with us. And so when we are shoulder to shoulder together, that is when we have the power to change the status quo. And that is what we have to do, our collective action. We are gathered here today to honor the legacy of Dr. King, who taught us so much about collective action, who brought together the civil rights and the labor movement. Because together we are stronger. So that is our message here today. Solidarity across the schools, across this town, and across all working people. So the last thing I'll say is our ESPs don't make enough to make ends meet. And we've seen this school year, our ESP don't make enough to stay. We have huge turnover, huge vacancies. But we also know that our ESP don't make enough to accept the status quo. And our invitation to each and every one of you is to come with us on this fight, because as Brenda said, when we fight, we win! When we fight, we win! When we fight, we win! Solidarity!
Who's got the power? Who's got the power? Who's got the power? Who's got the power? Yes, yes. Thank you, Sean. I want to say thank you, Sean, for the work that you've done over these years. You've moved the union to another place. I want to say thank you to Katina Taylor, who is our second vice president. I've never seen an organizer. She said, I gotta go hustle. And when she works, she gets the jobs done. So let's hear it for Katina Taylor. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you guys to Londell. Londell is a past ESP. Londell! Say his name! Say his name! And he's currently an equity coordinator for Education Minnesota. So he has some words for us. Thank you. Thank you again for coming and being here to share this moment, but we're just now beginning. This is just the beginning. I want to say a shout out to my sisters and brothers across the river, St. Paul Federation of Teachers, ESPs. Yes, thank you, St. Paul, for being here. Yes, we're going to get started in a couple minutes, and so if there's speakers that are speaking on this part of the
sons of former slaves and the
después.
Can we get a picture?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Look at my phone, sorry.